in animal production technology and years of hands-on experience, he has cultivated a deep understanding of the sector. So his career initiated at Josac Agro Allied Nigeria Limited, and it was further enriched through training at esteemed farms such as Obasanjo Farms, Zubai Farms Shaki, and he has been able to equip himself with the necessary skill set for this industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Abdulaziz Ahmed, as he will be, as all of us here will be discussing about animal welfarism. Please let us clap for him. Thank you so much. Mr. Abdulaziz, over to you. Thank you. Please, before he starts, let us ensure that our mic is mute, and also we should not turn on our videos. You can see that network just showed us small shaggy. So please let us ensure that our mic is mute and our videos are turned off. Thank you very much. You can go on, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, my regards to everyone. I really appreciate your welcoming emojis and I receive everything. Now, let's go straight to the point. I am Abdulaziz Abed. Let's go to this one. The topic we are to treat is animal welfarism in bracket poultry and ruminants. Before we go deep, let's quickly look at the meanings of the words that we have: the animal, the welfarism, the poultry, and the livestock, and the ruminant. Sorry. So when we talk of animal, we believe that animal is a living thing that can move and eat and react to the world through its sense, especially sight and hearing. And we know in biology, we are told we have living things and non-living things. Under the living things, we have the plant and animal. So it is expected that even humans are animals. But now we are trying to focus our topic on what? On livestock animals. That's meant for human consumption and human rearing. When we talk of welfarism simply means a well-being, what is good for someone or what makes a life worth living. Something that is good for someone and is going to make somebody's life worth living. That's welfarism. So when we talk about animal welfarism, it means we are trying to relate what is going to be good for our animals that we rear and is going to make their life worth living. And then they will know that wow, this is a good life. Now we talk of the focus that we're focusing, which is poultry and ruminants. Poultry in general are domesticated birds kept by humans for the purpose of harvesting animal products, such as the meat, the egg, the feathers. Poultry animals that we know in general, we have the poultry are birds, but the ones that we rear in livestock in is we have the turkey, we have the chickens. Under the chickens, you have the broilers, the noilers, the layers. But we have other birds also that are also poultry, like guinea fowl, like duck, like goose. They are also poultry. So all these birds generally that we rear are referred to as poultry. So we go to ruminant. When we say ruminant, ruminants are animals that are even toed, ungulates, mammals that chew the cud and regurgitate from its rumen. Simply meaning that ruminant animals, these are animals that have the four compartmentalized stomach and also they have the ability to rechew. That is, after eating the first batch, they have the ability to bring back that food and rechew it so that it can now pass through the normal digestion. Now we want to look at the welfarism of these animals that I have discussed about. How are we going to relate them to our topic? Now we'll be picking them one after the other, and after that we will now do some similarities. We'll do the general welfarism for both poultry and livestock. So let's go deep into poultry. In poultry, we have different species, but irregardless of the species, we have the young and the old. That is, how do you look at the welfarism for a young poultry bird? Let's take for example, if you have a broiler chicken, I believe broiler is a very common chicken. How are you going to care for it? And that's where we're going to talk about the housing. The construction of a house or a pen for a poultry farm, which is small in size is different from the construction of an adult poultry bed. If you come to construct your building for your young chicks, you are going to make sure you put everything in place, and you call such area as the brooding area, where the place has limited ventilation. Not limited also, but it must also be costly, in the sense that when you regulate the temperature in the room, your chicks will be able to grow in that place. And also, when you look at the feeding regime of your poultry animals are supposed to be well fed with the ideal feed. Let's take for example, if you have a day old, you are expected to feed it a starter mash or a chicks mash, depending whether it is a cockerel or a broiler or pullet. Now, for you to have started giving your chicks something apart from this starter mash or chicks mash, you have not taken care of the welfarism of the feeding aspect for your chicks. So if you have gotten it wrong from that stage, it means that you have a poor welfare regarding the feeding of your chicks right from day old. When we talk of the housing, if your housing that you are constructing is not well constructed to suit the age of the animals you are putting in that particular house, you have done what we call wrong welfarism. Let's take human being for example. When we give birth to our young babies, we care for them, we clothe them from harsh weather. The same way you clothe them also is the same way you need to clothe all these animals that we are discussing about. And when it comes to the poultry on the birds, I believe we are farmers. And let us know that people do farming for different purposes. Farmers specifically is to make profit. When we have some people that rear animals just for fun, irregardless of your choice, you should not maltreat this animal, but give them good welfarism. Another aspect of welfarism for your poultry animals is medication. For you to have a good welfarism, you must have a well detailed program. And when we say program, it's not just being I give them food, I give them water, and that is all. No. Are you giving them the right feed? Are you giving them the right water? Are you giving them the necessary medication at the particular age needed? Some people will say I gave Lasota, I gave Gomboro. The time you are giving it, is it correct? The dosage you are buying, is it accurate? And all the likes. Antibiotics, are you giving the normal dosage? If you give multivitamin, are you giving the normal dosage, or you say I just bought it, I give them? Some people go to and buy feed. They ask you, which feed I just buy feed. What is the name of the feed? They gave me, I bought it. That is wrong. It's just like giving a small baby yam to come and eat. That's when you are introducing grower to chicks. How can a small baby eat yam? Supposed to breast milk, you dey give breast milk, after some time you introduce pap, and that is where it is also. But some people just enter into the business, you start rearing, before you know it, you give the chicken here, and at the end of the day you start to complain, and that is not so. Let us quickly round up on that poultry so that we can have a question and answer. Now let us look at the adults. Adult birds, they have this adaptability, they have this technique to be able to withstand things that these our young chicks cannot withstand. Let's take for example, the adult birds have the ability to regulate their body temperature, which the small chicks does not have. And how is that possible? That is the presence of the feathers. That is the work of the feathers. And that is why when you are brooding your chicks from dayhood, when you start to see they develop feathers, at week 2 or week 3, you see they are enough, then you stop brooding, you stop producing heat. Why are you stopping it? Because the birds have now developed systems that can regulate their body temperature for themselves. So you stop the heat. And that is also another welfarism, knowing the right thing at the right time. Okay, these birds are about growing, is okay, you stop it. And now when your birds are not growing, doesn't mean you now expose them to a coarse temperature or unsuitable environment. Now we say an adult bird can now regulate our temperature. You now decide to leave it just like that without not providing good housing. No. Just take for example, if you don't give your laying birds a good housing, they are going to give you poor performance in production. But if you go to the store or you go to a veterinary store and complain, they will look at, they will give you drugs because they are not your farm. But you have forgotten that that housing is a well standard. Even though what we are using now is still substandard, but you should make it suitable for them to be able to live freely. Because of the question and answer segment, let me quickly go to livestock, 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 livestock. I have many other things to talk about. The time is short. We have ruminant. Ruminant animals I've said, but we'll be focusing now on cattle, sheep, and goats. And when I say cattle, sheep, and goat, cattle is male or female cow, goats male or female goat, sheep male or female sheep. Now, when we talk of the ruminants that I just mentioned, we have different attributes. They have different character. As a farmer or as a farm-loving human, you have to treat all these animals in an humane nature. When I say humane nature, you treat them the way you feel to be treated. It is very painful when you see a farmer comes to you and tells and says, this my animal is sick. And you try to tell the farmer, okay, sir, why don't you take the animal to the lab? You say, cannot take it to the lab, cannot do those steps, it's better I go and kill it. Why? It's inhumane in nature. Have you ever wondered when they see somebody sick and they tell you, okay, sir, take this person to the hospital for test or take it to the lab, and you now decided that no, going to the lab is going to cost us money, let him die. You will never do that. You will never do that. So the same way you feel to be treated, the same way we treat these animals. They have lives and they are living. They are living. So we must care for them so that they also give us what we need. I could remember one of my bosses, he used to tell me laying birds are the most loyal birds on earth. When they say loyal, in the sense that when you give a laying bird its adequate number of feed to eat in a particular day, it will surely give you that one egg that you're expecting. But when you fail to give it that expected feed for that laying egg, and that particular day, the egg will also deny you of the egg you're expecting. At the end of the day, you start to see low production. And also, livestock are the most honest individuals on earth. Some of these animals are even more loyal than humans. People that rape us can testify to that. Now, you manage your poor cattle, goat, and sheep. First thing, when a young ruminant is being given birth to, you must provide good housing. They need warm, not heat like the broiler like provide heat source. No, they need a warm place, especially if you leave them in a compound or they are in their ranch. And also, when you look at the feeding of these livestock is very, very important. Both poultry and ruminant. Both poultry and ruminant. And also know the nature of all these animals. When you are taking goat, goats are very stubborn, especially the West African goat, West African dwarf goat. They are very stubborn in nature. Now you have a West African dwarf goat, and you are now comparing that goat with another goat. Let's say it's like a Sahel goat from the northern part of the country. They are very different. And these are what will help you to look at the welfarism of your animals. When you get to your farm, you see a West African dwarf goat, something that you know is always very active, now calm, looking very done. Then you know something is wrong. You're taking note of what? Of that particular nature. But on the other side, you now have a West African dwarf goat, is not performing well, then you know what is happening. Then before you even call your veterinarian or your doctor comes in or your animal expert comes, you already know that doctor, this animal before it gives if this is what it does, this is what it does. But now I can't he is feeling I don't see it correct. So you notice that, and that's one of the good welfarism. And now let us quickly look at something that is very important again. If you are taking care of sheep and you don't want them to hurt you, there are processes for that. Welfarism gives you chance to dehunt your animals, especially the ones that are horned. When you dehunt them, you safeguard yourself, you safeguard the other livestock animals. They will not be able to attack each other with horns. They will not be able to use the horns to even affect you personally as their rearer. So everybody is safe. And it doesn't have effect on these animals. But we neglect that. And when the implications of all this setting, you start to run out of scatter. I've seen a situation where the horn of an animal is causing a damage to the head of the animal, especially animals that have curved horn. The horn is going to develop and curve back into its head, thereby causing damage. So you need to cut it off. But when all these things have been taken care of very well, at the instant you know that, oh wow, that's good. And also when you are looking at your medication, you dehorn. After you dehorn, some people don't trim the legs of the animals, especially ruminants. They say, what is there? And when you allow the hooves of this animal to develop more than expected, it's going to cause problems for their movement. And when there is problem in their movement, how do you want them to access feed? Some animals, you see them, you see their hooves very long. How come? And somebody is going to say is the owner, is the health giver. I own them. And you're not taking care of them. You trim those legs. When you see them that they're outgrowing, just like the way you trim your fingernails. You must treat them very well so that they will also give you what you need. When animals see good result in treatment, they will also give you best result that you want. You don't even know when, and it is equivalent that what it is a giving and giver. What you give is what you get. If you don't give the necessary treatment, don't expect results. If you are giving shaft to poultry birds and you say, they said feed is expensive, I cannot kill myself, then you just have to downsize what you have. If you are rearing to 1,000, you can reduce to 500. Keep the standard. Because these animals, you treat animals the perfect way they are supposed to be treated, not the way you feel. Treat animals the perfect way that they are supposed to be treated, not the way you feel that there's no money inside this Tinubu economy. I'll not be buying feed 20 something thousand. Me myself, I cannot eat 20 something thousand in a day. Nobody is holding you. If you like 800,000, is this somebody that is holding you? You're spending your money. And remember, these things you are spending on this livestock, when you look at the average cost of it, a single chicken might not even eat up to 1,000 naira in a single day. And I'm very sure that is not possible. So it's just you spread it across. Now let us take a look at the general welfarism so that I'll round up in 1 minute so that I can entertain question and answer. I'll be going straight. The general welfarism for livestock, both poultry and ruminant. First one, give good feed. Very, very important. Number two, proper medication and vaccination. Proper medication and vaccination, very important. Another one, provide good housing and study your livestock very well. Another point I want to give out as a general welfarism is what practice good hygiene and sanitation. Forget about they actually their animals. They don't need to. How can I be treating animals like you must treat them like humans? Let them feel special. So that's why you have to provide good hygiene and sanitation. Another point I'm going to point out is handle livestock with love and affection. Handle them. Let them feel loved. Don't let an animal feel that you are a bad person. Some animals, when they see some human, you see them, those animals start to behave abnormally because they know this person, once he comes, is always with care. Handle them with care. Let them see that you feel their presence. Another point is treat livestock in humane way. Humane way. Don't think because you want to treat your animals now, you're not gonna carry stick. Come here. Carry because you see the animal has horn. You are afraid of the horn because of what you used to do to it. If you have been nice to that such animal will be very nice to you back. Another point is maintain proper record of your flock. Some people don't have record. This thing is very, very important. As a farmer, you must keep records. Keep records of your flock, the ones you sold out, the ones you call, the ones you brought in is very, very important. Another one is also always consult an expert. Can be an animal caregiver, be veterinarian, animal health specialist, etc. You cannot do it alone. These are people that are certified and went to study this animal. You might be a farmer, yes, but no one knows it all. Even though the expert that we talk about, we also have to brainstorm some other times within each other. Another one is what? Have a livestock program designed by a specialist so as to guide the livestock throughout their stage of life. You must have a program to follow. All these animals, research has made us know that they are a particular sickness is going to affect this chicken at a particular stage at a particular time, and there's a preventive measure for it. And remember that prevention is better than cure. When you prevent sickness, it always helps you. But when the implications of preventive setting, my brother, my sister, you that's when you now know that and they have been told before. So thank you very much for listening. I will now try to welcome to entertain questions. I think my time is up.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Sincerely, you can see that he was rushing. He was trying to state his fact, and if we allow him, he's going to take us on a long journey. But we want to be very watchful of time. We want to be watchful of time so that we all can go back to what we were doing before. And we believe that through questions, is going to be able to delve into other areas that he would have talked about normally. So we want to go into questions now. So if you have a question for our facilitator, please signify by raising up your or if you don't want to raise up your hand, you can send a question through the chat box. You can send a question through the chat box. You can indicate by raising up your hand, or you send a question via the chat box. So anybody? All right. Someone is. People are typing their questions because of noise. Okay, that's actually good. Someone raised up their hand. Okay, we have Mr. Olakumi. Yeah, Mr. Olakumi, please go ahead to ask your question.
Go ahead to ask your question. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I would like to begin with, I'd like to say thank you. This is quite enlightening. Thank you to the speakers. I would like to ask questions as regards goats. If how many times do you feed a goat? Noting that the goat doesn't roam about, it's in the compound. So how many times a day am I expected to feed my goat? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Let us mute our mics, please. Let us mute our mics so that we can hear ourselves clearly, please. Mr.
Oh yeah,
Please let's mute
aláì
our mic.
nẹ́tọ̀ọ̀kì direct mà àti àti fún mi nẹ́tọ̀ọ̀kì já o wọ́n tún padà wá.
Let us mute our mics. Thank you very much.
Network is a problem. Network is
Please let us mute our mics, please. All right. I believe our facilitator was able to pick the question that was asked by one of our people here. I think she was asking.
I couldn't pick the question. I was about to put the question.
Okay. Please, can you ask your question again, Mrs. Olakumi? Sorry for using Mr. the first time. I apologize. Please, can you state your question again? Thank you.
It's fine. Oh, okay, sir. I would like to ask, how many times a day do you feed a goat? Knowing that the goat doesn't roam about the streets to fend for itself. So how many times a day am I expected to feed a goat?
Are you able to pick that?
All right, hello. You got the question.
Yes, that's the question.
All right. Knowing and I think she has left. She has the question and she just left. Now, when you know your
Sorry,
animals are all right, all right. When you have a poultry animal that you especially goats, it's expected you don't feed them like you feed them continuously. If you are giving them a balanced feed ration, you can time their feeding. You can try to give them twice in a day. If you are giving them a balanced ration, what I mean a balanced ration is a feed that contains the exact nutrient, like a finished feed, for example. In the case of the broiler chickens, you have the finish. If you are buying a starter, there is a level of protein that is required in that starter for the development of the animal you are going to give. But when you give livestock, you house them. It's always very important you supplement with grasses. If you are housing a livestock and you don't supplement with grasses, the growth rate is going to be slow. And after supplementing with grasses, also you now give finished feed. Then if you are doing that, if you have grasses in your compound or you source for it and you give them feed, then you will see them develop. Let's take for example, we should remember that the local goat, the West African dwarf goat, their growth rate is very slow compared to some other species of goats. So it depends on the breeds of your sheep will determine their growth rate. Even though if you feed them more than what they are supposed to eat, the breed will still come down to tell to the growth. So no matter the feeding, it's not about it at times, it also has to do with the breed. I hope I've answered that question very well.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Olakumi, I don't know if your
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. It's been answered. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, okay. All right. Before we proceed to other questions, I'm going to drop a link in the chat box. That link is for us to talk about this particular class. You know, we cannot know it all, right? You are the one who get better. So if you don't have things to improve on, there is no way that we can actually improve unless you tell us, because we will keep doing what we think is right. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat box now. All you need to do is fill it and give us your details so that you can tell us about this particular and then the things that you want us to improve on. So I'm going to drop it. And also, before the end of the class, I'm also going to drop the links to the community page so that for those of us that are not in the community, you can join. Okay, we have quite some questions here in our
Okay.
chat box. Before we move to that place, does anyone have any question again before I move to the questions in the chat box? Anybody? All right. We have Mr. Salim Mohammed. Please, Mr. Salim, go ahead to ask your question. Mr. Salim, please go ahead to ask your question. Mr. Salim, we can't seem to hear you. Please. Okay, I think something is, you are. I think you are trying to speak, but we can't hear you. Probably should check probably network, or you can text the question also. You can text the question if you're having issues with network. You can text the question. I'm going to read it out. So, without wasting much time, please let us know once you are able to sort that thing out. Thank you. All right, let's move to the question in the chat box. Someone is it ideal to feed goat chaff? I don't know if you get that question.
Please come again, please.
All right. Is it ideal to feed goat with chaff and bean peels?
I'm being spilled.
Yes, beans peel.
Okay.
Okay. The beans peel, like when you peel
Okay.
beans, when you peel
Yeah, I
something.
understand.
Yes.
Let me just get like 4 questions so I can understand everything wasn't problems.
Okay, the questions are quite long, so let's take it one by one.
Okay, let's take that from. He said, "Is it I need to feed goats, sharp and beans?" Yes, you can feed livestock animals with sharp. But remember, if you continue to feed them just sharp, you are not going to see a good result, especially if you are rearing for profit. And if you are feeding also bean speed is also good. But you don't just feed them alone. You don't base their feeding alone on those two feed stuff that you have mentioned. Remember, they are waste. And that one of the joy of livestock is that the waste of humans is what some of these animals will eat. But being the waste, you also supplement other nutritious feeds that will also aid their growth. Let's say, for example, human beings sometimes we just buy some things that we don't feel like that can sustain us. Let's say, for example, if you buy granite on the road and you're chewing, it's just like a snacks. So some of these food that you're supplementing, they are just like snacks, just so that they will not feel hungry. But when you give them the real food, the exact food, I know when every one of us want to eat now. We know what we want to buy. You go to chicken, you go to restaurant, you buy rice, you buy meat, you buy egg. Yes, they also want that. Also, you want to buy snack, you want to buy chin chin, you want to buy peanuts. That is what those things that you're giving them is like. It is not the real feed. It's just for them to chew on something. But when you give them something nutritious, then you'll see results. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So let us move on to the next question. Okay, Mr. Salim has dropped his question. So thank you. I'm going to read it out. I see you. Okay, our next question is from Opeyemi. So, Mr. or Mrs. Opeyemi, I apologize. I don't know your gender. She's asking that, what do you think about the cage system of layer farming in the context of animal welfarism? Our facilitator, please, can you hear me, please?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
So this person is asking that, what do you think about the cage system of layer farming in the context of animal welfarism? Some people, okay, I'm coming. Let me finish. Thank you. Some
Okay.
people, some people choose deep litter because
Yes.
it gives the bird freedom of movement and
Yes.
demonstrate natural behavior. Do you think we
Yes.
are wrong by using?
Should I agree?
Hey, someone is okay.
Should I come
Hello.
again? Should I
The
come
last
again?
part, some people use deep litter. Yes.
Okay, let me come again, please. Let me come again. Let me come
All right.
again. What do you think about the cage system of layer farming in the context of animal welfarism? Some people
Okay.
choose litter because they believe that it gives the bird freedom of movement and an opportunity to demonstrate natural behavior. Do you think we are wrong by using cages?
Okay. Now let me answer the question by saying whether you're using layer care, whether you're using cage system or you're using deep litter system, both system is part of the system you can use in rearing your birds. It's part of the system. Now, if you are using cage, has its advantages and its disadvantages. If you are using deep litter, it has advantages and it also has its disadvantages. Both systems are accepted in poultry production, especially for layers. But that doesn't tells you that the both systems, one is good, one is bad, because both have advantages and disadvantages. When you look at the cage, for example, we say okay, you have easy access to pick your eggs, and when you look at the deep litter, you have to walk around the pen to pick your eggs. That's one thing. That's one advantage compared to another advantage. When you look at the deep litter, the birds have the attribute to explore just like natural habitat, but that is being denied in the cage system. So both have advantage and it depends on what you are capable of, and especially if you are just a farmer that you don't have the large capacity, the large capital, then you can use deep litter. If you can manage it well, fine. Your birds might even do well than someone that is using a cage, because if you can practice a good system, it's very, if your system is good, they are very fantastic. We don't have issues. So that's that for deep litter and cage litter. Both are systems that are used in rearing. And let me buttress something. I was at a seminar, I think that was last 2 months in Lagos, and I've not been able to get the details. But I think research has been going on that is trying to even condemn cage from laying, as in putting birds in cage, and want to return it back to the system where we'll be using deep data. Though I'm also trying to get those research, but research is going on it, because I got a speech from someone that is into the farming. So, but I don't think the research has gotten to this country. But research has been going on to determine, because of the egg that rolls on the cage. Scientists have been trying to say the eggs roll on those iron mesh has an effect on the nutritional factors that the egg contains. But I don't have the research yet, so I don't have deep information on it. But if you're using cage and you're using deep data, both systems are correct. You can manage them well, you have good results. For that.
All right. Thank you very much for that question. For the person that asked the question, I hope your answer was well grounded, and if not, you can still tell us issues before time elapses. Thank you. Okay, so moving to other question, this person asked that, do you think it gets time to speak about animal welfare in Africa with respect to battery cage? I don't know if you get that question.
Do you think what?
Do you think it is time to speak about animal welfare in Africa with respect to battery cage?
Okay, now let us take something for example. I love that question. It that says anything to try to speak about animal welfare. But I would say When you are waiting for the right time, you just continue to wait and wait and wait, and there's nothing like the right time. The right time is now. Anytime you want to talk about something, it is now. So when I want to think about the animal welfare, the time is now. As we are saying it now, we are already being enlightened. And also, I believe that after we leave this conversation, we can also enlighten more people that, oh, wow, this is the way animals are supposed to be treated. Now, going to the battery cage that the person directed the question to, in battery cage, when you look at the cost of erecting a battery cage or a single unit of a cage, it costs you serious of money. But have you ever wondered that that cage, do you know the number of years you are going to use that cage, the number of birds that you are going to use that cage to raise? So I always advise people, when you are looking at the short-term investment, you also look at the long-term profits. Now you are buying a cage now with an high amount of money, yes, but the cage can serve you for 10 years, can serve you for 15 years, if it depends if you can manage it well. So are you now going to tell me that during this period of years you were not able to see the return of the money that you used to buy the cage? That's not possible. So if you want to do something and you think that the cost, then you are not thinking ahead of the future. That okay, once I buy it now, I can even use it for 10 years, I can use it for 15 years. We have people, we have farms, big farms. Some are not even functioning, their cages are still there. Their kids are still there. When they want to get back to production, all they need to do is do the proper cleaning, sanitation, sanitize the cages, and then you get that back to usage. So I don't think that has any effect. If you can buy, just get it. So it just makes your animals to what? To have another kind of feeling because they have less stress to search for food, they have less stress to search for water, so, and the environment is going to be very, very okay. If you don't expect them to stress or noise or things that will make them scared, it's one of the best systems. One of the best systems to manage for poultry. I can tell you. Because it's going to give you good, you even spend less on drugs. That's just one of the advantages of battery cage. So I think I've answered the person's question. So please let me take the next question because of time it is.
Okay, sorry, I had a network glitch. Please, everybody, mute your mic and also close your videos. Mrs. Anyon, yeah, please, Anyon, yeah, mute your mic and also close your video. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm sorry for the little network glitch I had. I'm also in Nigeria, so we are all facing the situation together. Okay, please, sorry, please. Due to the network glitch, I've been able. I lost the questions that were asked. Please, can you resend your question? I sincerely apologize for that. Due to the network glitch, and I had to rejoin again.
Can you hear me now? This is Salim Mohammed.
Before, so please, if your question has not been attended to, I apologize. Please, can you please send them again?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Thank you very much. Please, Mr. Salim, I remember you brought your question. Or if you now like to say, I apologize for what the network did. I sincerely apologize for that. Going back to the previous question, our facilitator, I just want to talk something about that question that person asked. I think the person is trying to ask if, I don't know how often, like looking at raising birds now or whatever it is they do battery cage. I think the person is trying to know that, or the person is trying to say that, is it time that people switch to using more of battery cages than other, or I don't know, is battery cage kind of superior to other kind of cages? Is it time that people switch to using it, or you have to still count the cost and then I don't know if
Okay,
you get
okay.
that.
And now I get your point. Now let me quickly just say something to that. Now I get your point. The person is trying to consider whether we push people to move to battery cage system of rearing than the deep power system of rearing, right?
Yeah, something like the person said that it's this time that we begin to talk about battery cage in Africa. I think that's what the person is just trying to say.
Okay,
I think I'm the one that asked that question. Can I throw more light to it?
Okay, please. Sorry, please. Sorry, I don't know your name. Your name is showing food fields. Okay, let me
Yeah,
call
yeah.
you
My
Mr.
name is Ikechukwu Kalistus. I'm from Plantain
Okay,
State.
okay. Mr. Uche, I don't know if the way I rephrased the question, I don't know if that was how
No, no,
you
no,
meant
no, no.
it.
You got it all wrong. Sorry, sorry. But I can ask him directly.
Okay,
You know,
please.
Patrick in other developed countries where they've attained superior economic dependency is no longer in vogue now. Like for Europe now, I think in the next 2 years, because of animal welfarism, like going to shut down every farm that uses battery cage. So, you know, in Africa, we are just posed with food problem here. Yeah, we've not gotten to that extent of saying, okay, farmers don't use battery cage again. Because battery cage, for me, I think is more profitable for poultry farmers than when you raise your birds on the floor. This is what I think is right. I don't know if I'm wrong. So that's why I asked that question. Do you think it's yet time for Africans to start speaking of animal welfarism with respect to battery cage, since we've not gotten to that extent of strong economic level? That's why I asked the question.
Okay, okay. Now, can I speak now? I think I made a reference to that. I also went to a seminar that was, I think that was last 2 months, and that was where I got the first information that battery cage is going to be stopped in few years to come. And the person that made the speech was making it known that the scientists have been trying to make research that the eggs that is being produced from layers that lay in cages is less superior in quality than eggs that are being laid from layers on the floor. But personally, I have not done a research on that, so I would say it is still a developmental thing that is in process. But when it comes to Africa, I will tell you that for now, is either we continue to use our battery cage or we use our deep litter. Because by the time battery cage is being out and they are not to replace it with deep litter, if they are going to replace it with something new, it's going to be very difficult for Africans to cope with the new strategy. Because even though the existing ones that they want to replace, they have not been able to cope very well. So it's just a matter of us looking and weighing the options as a farmer, that if I venture into this, will I be capable of this? And if I venture into this, will I be capable of doing it? So that is the answer that I can give to that question.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Salim, please ask your question. We have little time left. Please ask your question in 1 minute, and our facilitator is answering in 1 minute. Please go ahead, ASAP.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. And you have done justice to the topic, and I commend you and wish the organizers and everyone well. But my question is, I'm interested in this good farming, but considering the high cost of feeding and other things, how guarantee am I that my return of investment will be? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, Mr. Salim.
Yeah, I said, how, considering the high cost of,
I've, I've picked your question. I mean, is that all, sir?
yeah, is that is all.
Okay, now can I answer it? I think hello?
Please go ahead, please.
All right. Now, whether you are using goat or sheep or cow, these are one of
Hello.
the most lucrative business that people don't look into. Now, let me give you an instance. When you 3 years upward, at the first stage of the play is very simple. If you have a male and a female at the first year, it's expected that That is when they will grow with you before they get to what get to mate. Now, at your first year, you might not even see a single baby. But at your second year, you will have seen one result as a result of you buying one male and one female, which is the kid. In the second year, remember the mother that you had before is an adult. You have an adult male. The male is going to mate the mother again. If you just want to start like that without not adding up. So by your third year, it is expected for your two flock that you started with will have ended up going to like 4 or 5 by your third year. Because your second year, the baby, by the third year is also going to have been able to conceive and give birth. So by your third year, what started with 2 will have multiplied to 5. Now, if you now assume you now added to your flock, means your flock is increasing. That's one, based on the number. And the period of pregnancy is very short. According to statistics, it says both goat and sheep will get pregnant within a period of 6 to 8 months. So if you have a good management, even though if you have a good system, your goat can give birth in within 2 times within 1.5 year. 2 times within 1.5 year if you have good management. When I mean good management, after maturation, after birth, you have to separate the mother from the baby after a month so that it will give the mother some time to rest so that it can be able to conceive for another pregnancy. So it is very, very lucrative. And these animals can feed on human waste. They can feed on kitchen waste. Your yam peels, your rice that is under the pot, that's your and they will eat and develop. And if you supplement food again, then you are adding to their growth. But remember, you have to buy a good breed, not just any breed. Good breed that you know that is going to give you that result that you want. Now we have goat that are even now more expensive than sheep. It's as a result of breeding, continuous breeding. And okay, I think time is up. So I think I can answer Mr. Selim's question. I'm trying to be fast because of the time also.
Okay, thank you very much. We still have about two or three questions.
Okay.
So I don't know if this meeting is going to close due to time limit, but I've sent a new link now. So in case the meeting closes, just join through that new link. Don't move there now, but once the meeting closes, just make sure you use that new link. I've sent it now. Everybody should take note of it, please. I don't know if this chat is going to close now because I didn't get any notification. But let us continue in case. But I've dropped the new link. Let me drop it multiple times again so that we can take note of it. Because I'm supposed to get a notification that the meeting will close. So I've dropped it multiple times. Everybody just take note of that link. In case this meeting closes suddenly, just join this new link. Thank you.
Okay, please. I somebody asked the question that what is the right time to buy gold for rearing?
All right, please go ahead to answer that.
Okay, so when I say the right time, now is even the right time. When you buy from a good source, when you buy from a good source, you don't have a problem. When I mean a good source, you buy a goat or an animal that you know the history. But because of the nature of Africans and the country that we are, when you go to the market, especially the goat market, they will not tell you the sire or the dam of the animals that you are buying. So based on the experience that you have, is now going to determine what you want to buy. And when you buy, first thing to do, you must do quarantine. You quarantine the new animals, separate it from the old ones that you are buying to check for any disease developments. And that's going to help a lot. I just got a case yesterday. The person bought some new goats, added it to his flock. On the long run, after like 3 weeks, the new goat I bought, one dropped. Before you know it, all other goats in the farm are infected with an infection. They started stooling diarrhea and they started dying with what? With sneezing and catarrh in their nose. So on examining yesterday, I told him the root cause of this problem is the new goats that he bought. That is just what you can table it to. Because how come animals have not been sick for long, you bought new ones and they got sick within less than a month. So it means they are the carrier of the infection to your farm. You only didn't notice. So that's why if you are buying a goat or any animal, you must quarantine when it gets to your place for at least 14 days, at least 2 weeks. it's okay for a disease emergent. Though some disease takes longer before they show signs and symptoms, but when you can quarantine for 14 days, then you will be able to detect if this animal is sick or not, or before you can introduce it to your flock. So I think I've answered that question.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on now. All right, so we want to move. I think that will be our last question. Let me read it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think our last question for the day. The person said that my question is as someone who wants to start a mini backyard poultry. I have a
Okay.
three-tier cage in my backyard, and I want to
Okay.
start with 20 pieces of broilers and 30 pieces of layers. How do you advise and go about it? What kind of setting do I use for the cage? My location is Abuja. Okay, I think this one is for us. You want to get chicks from Afrimash, no problem. Um, Nabila Abdullahi, please, are you on the community page? Nabila Abdullahi, if you can hear me, please, are you on the community page?
Okay.
All right, okay, please, just kindly reach out to me after this meeting, or I will drop a message also on the group to try to find you. But also reach out to me after this meeting so that you can talk to Afrimash about getting what you need for your farm. Thank you very much. Okay, our facilitator, I don't know if you get that question. The person is asking that she has a three-tier cage in her backyard and she wants to
Okay.
start a mini backyard poultry, and she wants to
Okay.
start with 20 pieces of broilers and 30 pieces of layers. How do you
All right.
advise that she go about it, and what kind of setting can she use for this cage? Thank you.
All right. Now, whether you are any setting you are going to use, if you are rearing your birds in cage, you are using cage system. But what I would first advise is this: from day road, that's where the care starts from. At times, we have people that rear broilers and pullets from day old together. We say they some do it perfectly and it works for them, some doesn't work for them. But as a starter, our advice when you are brooding, you brood your broiler separate and you brood your pullets separate. Why is because the broilers have their own specific disease and infections that is coming from their what from their parent stock, which have been immunized against. Also with the layers. So that you don't have a cross infection during the process of your brooding stage. So you brood them separate. And if you want to brood your broilers in cage, you should be able to know you supplement them with enough of calcium. You're breeding if you are rearing, I mean you are rearing after the brooding you put them in cage. I don't know the design of you have a three-tier cage, right? So if you want to move your birds to the cage, for the layers, they enter point of cage from 12 weeks and above. But for your broilers, if the cage is in a slanty construction, it is advisable you don't put your broilers in that kind of cage. A broiler cage must be straight enough, standard, not that of the laying style that eggs roll from underneath of the cage. If that's the cage that you have, it is not advisable you put your broilers in such a cage. So it means you need to go and get a new design for your broiler to put them in it. It's better you rear them on the floor. That's on the deep litter. But for your pullet, which happens develop to be your layers, you can rear them in such cage because the cage is designed specifically for the laying birds. So, and I think if you give them proper medication, proper vaccination, and good tutor, you will not have a problem in rearing them. So that's what I can say.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Mrs. Nabila, I don't know if your question was well grounded, but you can trust Afrimash that if there's any other question you have, we are going to help you with that. We hope you patronize us anyways. Thank you very much. All right. We want to say thank you for everybody that has joined this meeting. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for your time. It is not easy. Okay, somebody is still raising up their hand. This is the last question we are taking, please. This is the last question. We're just trying to be generous. Thank you very much. Mr. Paul, please go ahead to ask your question. Please, thank you.
I joined late. In short, I was busy when I remembered I need to attend this webinar. Time has already gone. I am requesting for the audio for the whole of this meeting so that I can follow up. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. The video recording, audio recording will be available after the meeting. I believe you saw that we dropped the one for the previous class. Please, I already stated that that's the last question. Mrs. Sekina. Okay, thank you. Miss Sekina, please. And for those just raising up your hand, please. We've already stated that that's the last question, and you were here when we said that you should state your questions. But I'm going to give us one minute to say whatever it is you want to say, and after that, the window has closed. Thank you very much. So please let's be fast with our questions, please. Miss Sekina, please go first. Thank you. Miss Sekina. All right. Mr. Ayodeji, you can also go ahead to ask your question.
All right, sir. Thank you. I don't really have a question. The last workshop that was done, there was a promise that the recording was going to be posted on the platform, but we are yet to see the one on how to take care of chicks, the brooding of male chicks and the likes.
All right. The recording has already been posted on the group. It has already been posted on the group. Probably you didn't see it, but I'm going to repost it. It has been dropped on the group, and people have already.
Sorry, sir. What about the one on Turkey? The one before the last?
Yes, there was no recording for that due to technical issues. You need to be checking messages on the group. Very, very important.
I do.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
so please always check the messages on the group. We didn't drop the very first one due to technical issues, but the last one we dropped it on the group, and people have acknowledged it. But for your sake, I'm going to drop it again so that you can also see it. Thank
Hallelujah.